What if the skill you need most right now is not more discipline, not more information, not more hustle, but a better way to laugh? Not a loud laugh that avoids pain, not a cruel laugh that makes someone small, but a steady laugh that helps you stay human when life feels too heavy. Because the strange thing is this: some of the people who look the most calm on the outside, the people who train their attention, the people who sit still and watch their own thoughts, they often end up with the sharpest sense of humor. And some of the people who deal with the hardest parts of life, grief, conflict, pressure, fear, they also often carry humor like a small light in their pocket. That is not an accident. It is a pattern. And it starts with noticing how ridiculous the mind can be. Most days we think we are the driver. We think we choose our thoughts. We think we are steering. But if you ever pause for even 1 minute, you see what is really happening. Thoughts pop up without asking. Worries appear like ads. Old memories replay like short clips. You plan a healthy day, then your mind shows you a fantasy about sugar. You want to be kind, then a petty comment forms in your mouth. You want to focus, then your attention jumps to something shiny. At first it feels embarrassing. It feels like you have no control. But if you stay with it, something shifts. You start to see your mind like a small animal. Busy. Curious. Easily scared. Easily excited. And once you see it clearly, you almost have to laugh, because you realize you have been taking this chaos as your true self. This is the surface concept. Humor is not only a reaction. Humor is a kind of awareness. You cannot find something funny if you are asleep inside your day. You have to notice the detail. The odd timing. The mismatch. The tiny surprise. That is why humor and attention are linked. A person with a better sense of humor is often a person who is more awake. Think about how you move through a normal day. You walk past the same street. You open the same app. You sit in the same chair. Your brain tries to save energy by turning everything into background. It says nothing new here. But humor breaks that spell. Humor says, wait, look again. That is why people who create jokes often carry a habit that looks simple. They catch little moments. A strange sign. A weird rule. A silent drama on the train. A person wearing something that makes no sense for the weather. A small mistake that reveals a bigger truth. They catch it and hold it. Not to judge the world, but to see it. And this is also why quiet practices can feed humor. When you practice noticing your breath, noticing your thoughts, noticing sensations, you practice waking up. You practice seeing what you usually skip. So humor becomes less like a talent you are born with, and more like a muscle you train by paying attention. Now the second insight is the hidden assumption that blocks people from humor. Many people think humor is a personality type. Some people are funny, some people are serious. Some people can joke, some people cannot. But that belief is often a shield. It protects a deeper fear. The fear is that if you laugh at yourself, you will lose respect. You will look weak. You will look foolish. You will open the door for others to attack you. So you stay tight. You stay correct. You stay controlled. And you miss a basic truth. Laughing at yourself is not the same as hating yourself. It is the opposite. It is a form of kindness. It says I am human, and I can still be on my own side. When you cannot laugh at yourself, every mistake becomes dangerous. Every awkward moment becomes proof. You start to build your identity like a glass object. You carry it carefully. You panic when it shakes. But when you can laugh, you become more durable. The mistake does not vanish, but it stops being a threat to your worth. You can say yes, that was messy, and I am still here. And that is why people who read old diaries, old letters, old memories, and share them in public sometimes create a strange kind of freedom. The memory used to feel like a private wound. Now it becomes a story. The shame turns into shared laughter. Not because the pain was fake, but because the person survived it. This is the hidden assumption to challenge. Humor is not only about being clever. Humor is often about being safe with your own imperfect self. And that safety is something you can build. You build it by taking small risks. You admit small truths. You say I got that wrong. You tell a friend the story you used to hide. You let yourself be seen as a work in progress. In that moment, laughter is not making fun of you. Laughter is giving you space to breathe. The third insight is the structural pattern behind good humor. It is almost always a move from flat to full. Flat is when you reduce life to one meaning. This is good, this is bad. This is success, this is failure. This is serious, this is silly. But real life is rarely one thing. Real life is often mixed. It is both. A house can be loud with fear and still have moments of laughter. A hard week can still have a funny detail that makes you pause. A painful identity can still carry joy, art, food, poetry, play. When people are forced into one box, especially by the stories others tell about them, they become less human in the public eye. They become a symbol. A label. A single mood. Humor pushes back against that flattening. Humor says there is more here. Even if life is tragic, there is still absurdity. Even if someone is suffering, they still have a strange joke. Even if someone is brave, they still have awkward moments. Humor restores dimension. It returns a person to full size. You can see this in small everyday scenes. A person walks through a park and notices someone picking plants from the ground. At first it looks strange. Then the conversation starts. Suddenly the park is not just grass. It is food. It is smell. It is history. It is dirt and life and bugs. And yes, it is a little gross. But it is also delicious. Humor lives right there, in the honest mix. Another person rides a subway and sees a performer doing something so odd it feels like art from another planet. You laugh, but you also feel something else. You feel awake. You feel the city is alive. You feel that reality has room for weirdness. That room is important. Because when life gets hard, what crushes people is not only pain. It is also the feeling that everything must be tight and heavy and correct all the time. Humor opens a window. Now the reframing is this. A better sense of humor is not a way to escape the weight of the world. It is a way to carry it without becoming stone. If you only use humor to avoid, you will feel it later, often at night, often when you are alone. But if you use humor as presence, humor becomes a tool for honesty. You can look at what is real, and still not lose your softness. You can say this is hard, and also admit this is strange. You can say I am scared, and still notice the absurd part of your fear. You can say I am angry, and still see the tiny theater your mind is building. That is not weakness. That is skill. It is the ability to watch your own mind without being owned by it. And it creates a quiet freedom. Because when you can laugh at your mind, you create distance. Not cold distance, but helpful distance. You can take the judgment that appears, and instead of acting it out, you can turn it into a gentle joke inside your head. You can say there you are again, old habit. You can notice the dramatic story your mind writes, and you can smile at it. That smile is not denial. It is recognition. Application to daily life can be simple. Start with one small practice. When you catch yourself rushing, pause and look around like you are seeing the room for the first time. What is odd here? What is slightly funny? What is a small detail you usually miss? When you feel shame rising, ask a softer question. Am I afraid of how I look, or am I actually doing harm? If it is only about how you look, see if you can loosen your grip and find a tiny laugh. Not to mock yourself, but to remind yourself you are not on trial. When you are with friends, notice how humor often signals safety. The best laughs are not about a perfect punchline. They are about being understood. They are about being known. They are about sharing the full truth of a moment, the good and the messy together. You can create that more often by being a little more honest and a little less polished. And if you feel like you do not have a sense of humor, try this. Do not chase jokes. Chase attention. Carry a small note in your phone, and when something strange happens, write one line. Not a full story. Just one line. Over time you will train your eyes. You will start to see the world differently. Optional deepening is to remember that humor can also be a kind of dignity. In hard situations, people can become symbols to others. They can be reduced to one story. Humor resists that. Humor says, I am more than what you think I am. I am more than my worst day. I am more than my role. I am more than your headline. That is why humor can matter even in serious places. It protects the human shape of a person. It says, do not flatten me. Do not turn me into one mood. Do not erase my complexity. And maybe that is the biggest lesson. A better sense of humor is not about being less serious. It is about being more alive. More awake. More able to hold both the dirt and the dinner, the fear and the laugh, the pain and the strange beauty of being here at all. So what is one small moment today where you could notice the absurdity, soften your grip, and let a kinder laugh make you a little more human?